All right, guys, we finally got it done. Let's talk about it. All right, guys, this is Emmett Stallworth, the Alpha Builder. Guys, I'm just gonna go over a couple of things you want to make sure you pay attention to when you finally get that house done. Now, mind you, this is a custom job, and I'll show you the last part of it when we get done with this right here. But guys, once again, like, share, join the channel. If you like, guys, if you like to donate, you can hit right here. You can cash out me, and anything that you send me is going to be going toward me getting better quality for this right here on YouTube channel. But guys, when you get this thing done, you're not really done. So remember this right here, guys. Number one, you need to have a 1-year warranty. Now, in the state of Alabama, I have to offer a warranty up to 7 years. If the homeowner want anything additional, they want more warranty, I'll quote them a cost to extend the warranty another year. But I have to offer at least 7 years here. All right, so that's one. All right, number two, guys, make sure you get your termite bond. You gotta get it, guys. I usually use the bait system. I don't like to put poisons on the ground, especially for a custom job. You know, you have to call the pre-treat. Well, if you did a pre-treat, you don't just, a lot of the builders go in and just do the foundation or the gravel. Once you get the slab in, they just treat that, and then they don't call them back out there. They don't call those guys back out there when they do the driveway, so you got to call them back again. So I just do the Centricon, and the homeowner's going to have they'll pay yearly to have the things rebaited or redone. But that usually costs anywhere from $200 to $300 for the termite bond. Usually the builders pay that. Okay. The next thing you're gonna need, so you got your termite bond, you got to offer them a 1-year warranty. Then you want to make sure you do a pre-inspection. So get your pre-inspection done, and the pre-inspection is really so that you and that homeowner have an opportunity to go through it. I just told the homeowner, leave some blue tape, give them time to just go ahead and go through that house. But once I handle the pre-inspection stuff, just because they put blue tape on it don't mean that means I will address it. If it's a legitimate concern and it's something that doesn't function correctly, I would make sure that stuff gets addressed. But just because they have it on the list don't mean that you're obligated to do it. Remember that the house has to be code compliant, and things got to function and things got to work, guys. My homeowner actually went out and they hired a home inspector, guys, which is a good thing. But some of the things, probably 95% of the things he had on the home inspection was just a good idea. But just because it's a good idea don't mean that I'm obligated to do that stuff. And I had to, let the homeowner know that, and I get the the home inspector may look more like a builder than me, but just because he put it on there don't mean that, like caulking around, light fixtures and stuff on the exterior of the house, yes, this is a good idea. I think you should do it as a builder, but I don't have to. So these are the things that you want to make sure that you handle. But guys, have them to go ahead and do a pre-inspection, and you address those things. Doesn't mean you're gonna jump through hoops to get it done, but you address it. If it's something that has nothing to do with the code and stuff like that, and you feel the need to not do it, then you guys got to talk about it. At least have a discussion about it. The next thing you're gonna need, guys, you're gonna need you're going to need a certificate of occupancy. And so the building official, the building official sends out his building inspector to go out and do the last inspections on the house. So, guys, you got to, there are going to be some things. The building official actually caught 2 things on me, and they were legitimate too. But he also, he helped me because I couldn't figure, I was trying to think, I had other things on my mind, but he actually had a remedy for the exact thing that I had there that we needed to do. And he had an exception that, he said, hey, why don't you just try this right here? I'll accept this. And it met the code. So it was good. But you're gonna have to address all the things that the building official need in that house. And you gotta do those things. You gotta get it done, especially if it's code compliant. If it's code compliant, get it done. And that's really what he should be. That's about all he need to be checking. So you got to have that because you got to take that certificate of occupancy. And if you have a custom job and this job is financed through a bank, the homeowner financed this right here through a bank, you need to send that CO to that bank. Okay. Now the bank is not going to be finished with you because the bank is going to need, most of these banks have a one-time closing. They did the closing when they started the construction phase, but then it automatically shifts over, their loan automatically shifts over to the permanent side once all these documents are done, like a certificate of occupancy. And one of the final thing is a lien waiver from the builder. So what that lien waiver is going to do is it's going to say that, all your subcontractors as a builder has been paid. The homeowner doesn't owe you any more money. And and then you can sign off on that lien waiver, and then that's when everything gets going for that homeowner. That's when the thing shifts over into a permanent loan, and then they pay like they pay a regular mortgage. So, and builders, don't sign that, guys. That's your last remedy. That's your last thing. If you don't get paid and you sign off on that thing, it's going to be hard undoing that in the event that homeowner doesn't pay you, And on this one, you get your final draw, and guys, what that homeowner owes, the amount of money that they owe, nothing should be a surprise, guys. Leading up to this time, you should have probably reached out to them 2 or 3 weeks before you actually got to it. And I have a thing called Snapshot. It's just kind of a snapshot of where they stand. I try to send that out 3 weeks in advance. But here's another thing, guys. All throughout the process, any change orders and things like that, or any invoices I got for the change orders, we wrote those change orders out. And then on top of writing those change orders out, the invoices I got, like any allowance or budget items that I had that the homeowner went over their budget, I wrote that stuff out and I sent the invoices to them. So nothing that they see, guys, I promise you, nothing my homeowner had was a surprise. Guys, the only reason that you have a major problem with a homeowner is when they looking at stuff and there's a surprise for them. You didn't let them know in advance. And you don't just, as builders, man, you don't just not talk about it, good, bad, and different, man. You got to let those homeowners know. You got to, as soon as you find out about it, man, I know they're going to be pissed off about this right here. You got to send this information out. Here's the invoice. And then you guys talk about it. Things don't just go away with time. And this is what a lot of builders have a lot of builders think if they just, and that's the reason, man, that I say that you guys should go out here and make sure you have at least weekly meetings or every 2 weeks. I wouldn't go 3 weeks without meeting with that homeowner and making sure that there are not any questions, because if you leave them to their own devices and let them start thinking of things, something that you did or didn't do, guys, they're going to think of the worst case scenario. It's always going to be the worst case scenario, man. And you don't know who's in their ear. A lot of builders, a lot of homeowners got friends and relatives who have been duped by builders. and they're telling their horror stories. And then, and then that homeowner is expecting, the expectation in those homeowners is that you're going to give them the same horror story. So they tensed up, this is what's going on, guys. So you guys have got to make sure you keep an open line of communication with your customers, man. You guys got to talk. You guys got to talk about this stuff, man. Because like I said, it don't just go away with time. Don't think if you just don't get on the email with them or you don't send text messages to them and you guys are not communicating, that whatever problem that they had or something they saw in the house 2 weeks ago that they had an issue with, don't think it just went away, because it didn't. Matter of fact, it's probably got worse because now they saw something else. Listen, this guy don't know what he's doing. So that's why you want to talk about it, guys. And you got to make them understand that their shit, these homeowners can't expect you to be a god. Sometimes they expect for you to be able to control weather. So you got to talk about these things. But you got to have that. So you got a certificate of occupancy. You have a lien waiver. Like I said, don't sign that thing until you get your money. You got your termite bond. You do that. You got your warranty documents that you guys have got to, you guys going to eventually sign those warranty documents. And I have a whole packet that I give to the homeowner. I give one thing that I lean heavily on is the National Association of Home Builders Performance Guideline. That is a critical document, guys. It tells the homeowner, what the standards are in building. That way the homeowner don't think that guys, a house is over 300,000 parts, man. I mean, you got it assembled by me and there's going to be some mistakes and problems. So they can't expect things to be perfect. You don't want the homeowner to even concoct the expectation that their house is going to be like a car that was engineered to perform. Their house, probably certain parts of it was engineered, some of the structural stuff, but for the most part, it's not engineered and built in a lab, or built in controlled environments and stuff. And you got several engineers piecing things together to make sure it perform. That's not a house. So they shouldn't expect for things to be perfect in their house. Now, the house needs to function and be a nice built home, but it may not be perfect. You're not going to be able to build a perfect house, guys. It's just not going to happen. And you got to make sure that homeowner have that expectation as well. So you got that out the way, guys. Guys, you got to, I spent all morning, guys. I've been here since I started around 7 o'clock, just closing out this house, guys. And so you can see, guys, this right here, look at here. I want you guys to see this right here. Now, mind you, I don't have everything. I don't have all my invoices. My invoices are all, I did that electronically. So all my invoices are electronically. So these right here, this is the whole file of this house, man. This is all the stuff, some of the, like some of the quotes and stuff that I got from the subcontractors, permits, and just all the documents that come along with that house. I put it right here. Okay. All right, something else that you're going to have to do, guys. I tell you what, man, you won't go wrong if you do this right here. Guys, once that homeowner gets in, you let that homeowner know, hey, look, when you guys get in this house, give them about a week or so, get all the stuff out the way. And then you want to go back out there with that homeowner, guys, and you want to walk them through that house. And you want to talk about certain things like, hey, guys, y'all need to be caulking every 2 years. I'll have somebody come out and caulk. You need to be painting X amount of years. You need to make sure you look at this right here. This is probably how this right here. And guys, I've been over the house long enough and I've been working on doing certain things in the house enough to know how to turn and operate just about everything. So I figured, and you should do that. That way you can kind of help them understand that you ain't going to master it like they should be mastering it, but at least help them understand certain things. So these are the things. And then you spend about 2 hours just walking through the house, guys, giving them good practices on utilizing their home, maintenance, You know, you guys are talking about maintenance and things like that. The next thing you want to do too, guys, is you want to give them a list. Make sure you do this, guys. This is critical. You want to give them a list of some of the major contractors that have, like, you know, your things that actually they're going to be operating every day. Okay, garage door openers, your plumber, electrician, mechanical guy. The mechanical guy should have a number on the thermostat that they could call. What's another guy? There was one more. Flooring. That's another thing, man. Flooring. Cabinet. You know, your cabinet guy, you know, opening and closing the cabinets. You got, you know, you usually have a 1-year warranty with those guys. You just transfer that 1-year warranty to that homeowner, but give that homeowner the contact information to all those guys there. Now, you might not give them, don't give them framers. They ain't got no business calling your framers. They don't have really any business calling your roofers. If you got a leak in that house, number one, you should have been figured that one out by now. And then number two, you need to know if it's leaking. You need to know where it's leaking at. You need to go out there and look at that. You need to figure that one out. But you want to give them those basic subcontractors' numbers so that if they got an issue with those products, they need to call them first. Short circuit the information to those guys first. And then now, if you have a problem and those guys said they was coming out, they never come out. Electrician was one of them too. I don't know if I said him. But if those guys are not coming out to, you know, check on their products and get that stuff working right, because the homeowner's going to figure out everything that works and don't work. Even if you did go through the pre-inspection thing, guys. You know, you should, you know, once you give them those numbers, they need to talk to those guys first. But like I said, if those guys don't come out, you need to handle that. You need to get them guys. They may respond a little bit better to you as the builder. You know, like my waterproofer, you know, out of 9 months, me building the house, never had a water leak in the foundation. Got one 2 days ago. It just showed up all of a sudden. The basement bone dry. Other than a couple of days ago, we got a good rain. But it's good because, you know, I can call my waterproof guy. I send him the pictures. He go over and knock it out. So this is what you want, guys. So give them that. Guys, here's something else that you should do. I would take about 1% of the cost of the home. So if you got a $600,000 house, I'd take about $6,000. I'd take 1% and I would just put it in a bank somewhere. I put it in a savings account and just don't touch it for 1 year, you know. And then when things go wrong on that house, I just pull from that. And that's what I would do. That's probably your best, you know, that way, you know, you're covered, man. You're not, you know, if you got to go back out there and actually deal, because guys, things can go wrong. You just don't know. You know, you won't know until they actually move into the house all the bad things that's going to go wrong. Yeah, you won't know it until they actually move into the house. They're gonna let you know. And these people lay down in the middle of the road when they see you coming down the street, man. They call you at 2:00 in the morning to get you to come out there and take care of this issue they got. And also, guys, that's another thing, man. When those homeowners call you, if it's on the weekend, you know, you guys need to have business hours. You know, just like any normal business. If they call me on warranty items, if you call me on the weekend, you're probably not going to get me. Call me from 8 to 5 o'clock, just like any normal business. They need to respect your company as a business as well. You know, if they call you at, you know, Sunday night at 2 o'clock and you answer the phone because you know, I'm not the one. If you got that much of an emergency, you need to be calling the fire department, not me. So you don't even want to entertain that guy. So these are some of the things. I'm just trying to think of everything else that I want to make sure that you do. I think, man, you know, that, can't think of anything else. I think we covered most of it. If I come up with something else, I'll make another video on it. All right, guys, you guys like, share, subscribe. Appreciate you guys for dropping in, and you guys have a good one.